Check 1 2. Check. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? There's a reason I'm not a singer. You all are beautiful people. Beautiful. Sweet. Who's got the movie? Who's watching the movie with me? Check on the mic. 1 2. Ronnie Van Zant. 1 2. Who's fucking pumped right now? Holly Klein, what's up? Fact Feature in the house. Trey Courtney, Comic Chop News. Man, all these beautiful people. Jason Reese, what's up, brother? Hope to see you at Spooky. Benzo Brain, thank you, man. I appreciate that. You're awesome. It's about that time, people. How's everybody doing? We are going to do Halloween 2018. I can't believe this is the last day of the year. We are in December 31st, 2018, and I couldn't pick a better last video than doing a commentary for Halloween 2018. It's just been a great year for my channel, and I thank all you guys so much for everything you guys have done for me. It's amazing. I don't know, this whole year's just been like a freaking whirlwind. And a big part of that is Halloween 2018, is this movie. With the announcement of this movie, and then all the updates that I did along with other YouTubers, like we watched the movie, Dave McCray, Wolfman's Got Nards, Cody Leach, and so many others. But yeah, this movie's been pretty much my life for this year, aside from reviews and all that stuff. But I figured, it's only fitting to do a commentary on the last day of the year to kind of celebrate this movie and what this movie means to me. And this movie means more to me than it does some people, and it means maybe less to me than some people. But to me, I guess it's just more than a movie, if that makes sense. It's Michael Myers, and I'm looking forward to discussing this with you guys. There's a lot to discuss. But yeah, I hope some of you guys have the movie pulled up, so at least some of you can watch it with me. But if not, you can just hear me talk about it. I have popcorn here. There's my popcorn. I got one of those big Christmas tubs. It's going to be really fun. And I got a new webcam here. It's an HD cam. So you guys there you go. You can see the screen. Look at that. That is the Voodoo version of Halloween 2018. I purchased it. And I am going to buy the 4K when it comes out too, of course. Cody Leach is in the house. What's up, brother? Yeah. The Shape, Jay Camacho, Brandon Goulet, Cod Glitches, White Tim. What's up, brother? The Big Ape. A lot of big names. Horror Junkie 78. Beth S. Big thanks to Beth S. This year we became really good friends. And, she hooked me up with some really nice vinyls. And she really turned me on to vinyl. If it wasn't for Beth, I would not be the vinyl fan that I am today. And it's an addiction. I literally listened to this soundtrack pretty much all the way through for this last hour before this thing. I have been like pins and needles this last hour getting ready for this. I couldn't wait for it to start. I couldn't wait to spend my time with you guys. And I'm really excited. And I thank all of you guys that are here with me. I appreciate it. So, without further ado, I think we're going to start this thing. Are you guys ready? Do you guys have your popcorn, your soda, your drink? I have water with me, but I'll probably be getting a Monster later. So, Jay Camacho, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to start the movie. I'm nervous. This is weird. I'm going to start the movie, watch again. Oh, by the way, I gave this movie a fresh watch the other night. The night that I bought it. I was like, I need to give this another watch, a third watch. So that way, when I'm watching this with you guys, I'm going to have the volume turned down. Like, maybe I could barely hear it. But, Cody, gotta get it. I will say, I'm going to point out some flaws in this movie. Yes, there are flaws. I noticed the flaws when I was watching it a third time. Having said that, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys right now, I enjoyed it even more. If that's possible. I thought for sure when I watched this a third time, I thought, I'm sure those flaws are going to jump right out at me and I'm not going to like it as much as I did. When the credits were rolling, I was almost in tears. I shit you not. So, it has that effect on me. It just really does. This movie is special to me. So I think it's cemented that this is probably going to stay number 2 for a while. So, anyway, here we go, guys. All right, watch again. 3, 2, 1. It is starting. Let me make sure I got my volume. We got the Universal logo. Now, let me take you back. When I went and saw this movie opening night, I was shaking. You know, as a lot of Halloween fans were. I mean, this was, if we ignore Rob Zombie, this was since 2002. So, what, 16 years since we saw O.G. Myers. That's what I like to call him, O.G. Myers, the original Michael Myers, not the Tyler Mane version. Don't get me wrong, Tyler Mane was probably the best part of the Rob Zombie movies. I really like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I have some major problems with the first one. But even as much as I loved, there's the Blumhouse. I like the Blumhouse logo. It's pretty cool. As much as I loved Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, did I want to go in... Oh God, that freaking... The font is just... That like vibrating orangish yellow. It's so nice. In association with Rough House Pictures. But yeah, I'm losing my train of thought. I didn't want to continue on that road. I wanted to go back. And I was scared that we were never going to go back. I was scared that they were going to reboot again. But they made the right decision. This first scene here, we are in the sanitarium. And you couldn't pick a better way to start this movie. Take us back to Smith's Grove. And just the idea of starting 40 years later from the first movie. Parts 2 and on, they don't exist. So, I mean, just the idea of doing that, to me, I thought it just made it for a more exhilarating experience. Like, what has gone on for 40 years? What is Michael Myers like 40 years later? Has he changed? Is he still the same person? I want to get in that environment. I want to know what is going on in his life, you know. And I think they really stressed that with the trailer. That trailer just had me... When they showed this scene where he approaches Michael, and we're going to get to that, just chill bumps. Just chill bumps. And I will go ahead and say this opening portion is probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. Just because, I mean, you're not just a horror movie, but any movie. You want to be in the zone, I guess you could say. You want your opening scene, kind of like Scream, to really just get you in the movie. So by the time that opening scene ends, you are fully on board. You're not like, I kind of like this, but I'm not sure. Is it? They don't have me hooked yet. This one had me hooked from when the credits started. I was completely hooked. Okay, so we have Aaron and his. I guess after we saw the deleted scenes, we do know that they are a couple. You know, there's that deleted scene with her in the shower. Let me see. Hold on here. Yeah, but we're also introduced to Sartain here. But Aaron and Dana. That's it. And let me pull you guys back up here so I can see your pretty faces. This was a good way to start it, I think, with Aaron and Dana. Just this young like podcast. There would be people like this that are obsessed with this case. You know, even though the body count from the first movie, it's not huge, but the circumstances around it, I think, are extremely interesting. So interesting that it would carry forward. This insane mental patient who was able to escape and pull off this murdering, killing spree on Halloween night. And I think the Halloween night is a big part of why it's so memorable. I think it would go down through the ages. It would be like this big urban legend. And so I think there would be people that are really, curious about this case, really interested in it. I guess kind of like the Villisca murders. If you think about the Villisca murders, this was back in 1912, and the body count was a family of like 8 total, and one guy in the attic, and he just killed everybody. Still to this day, we're talking about that, and I think this would be just as interesting. I love this scene here. I'm probably gonna say I love this scene quite a few times in this, but that's okay. We'll roll with it. So you can see on Aaron's face, he is just. It's almost like he's obsessed with Myers. There goes. That was my phone. Yeah, he steps up to the line. I love how they set up that, how dangerous not only Myers is, but everybody is. He tells Aaron to tie his shoe. Just little details like that David Gordon Green and Danny McBride threw in this. There is some comedy in this movie, but overall they chose to go really serious with this story, especially everything around Myers. They didn't once make a joke of Myers as a character, and I think that's a sign of good writing. You want to those things that you don't want to poke fun at, you want to keep it like that, and then it's fine to sprinkle comedy around that because let's face it, there is comedy in life. So. It felt realistic to me. He didn't 100% go serious, and he didn't 100% go comedy. Just a little bit of comedy sprinkled in there. But yeah, all the inmates are starting to freak out now. Seeing that mask again, after 40 years, they nailed the look of this mask. Thank you for that super chat, DFC. I appreciate that. Very nice. This might be like my favorite opening out of the whole franchise as far as like getting you pumped up. Everybody's screaming, and then he just screams, "Say something." And for a second, I almost thought, I was like, what if Myers, is Myers going to say something? I was really thankful that he didn't. But what's up, Holly? How are you doing? Nice to see you in here. Cody's significant other, Holly Jones, is in the chat. Say hello, everybody. And we got the inflating pumpkin. The pumpkin has been deflated for 40 years, and it's back. And just to talk a little bit about this opening, I was always wondering, like, why don't they take advantage of that? The first 2 movies have that genius pumpkin opening. And why not take advantage of that through the other movies? They had some similar pumpkin open. Really, just Part 5 had a pumpkin opening, which was cool. But I always wanted this style. The camera zooming in, and you're seeing the pumpkin, and they'll do some kind of effect with it. And this one, it's perfect. It's inflating, and that is not a CGI effect, by the way. That is a real pumpkin, which really surprised me because I thought for sure that was a CGI effect. So it's just shot in reverse. And the worth noting is the score is very similar, at least in this part, to the original. It's almost like an homage to the original in terms of the score, and then from here we kind of veer away, and the score kind of takes a life of its own. And the score was John Carpenter, his son Cody Carpenter, and his godson. I got his godson's name up here because I always forget, and I want to give full credit. Let me go down here. Yeah, Daniel Davies. And I'm glad that Carpenter brought in some fresh blood for this score with Daniel Davies and Cody Carpenter, because I'm sure that there's a lot of influence there, not outside of John Carpenter, because there is more of a modern approach to a lot of the themes and the cues for the score in this movie. Okay, now we got Dana and Aaron. They are approaching Laurie Strode's house. One thing Cody was talking about during and after his commentary was how there's so much to discuss in this movie. There's so much to talk about. From scene to scene, there's so much going on, and even if you don't like this movie, you have to admit that there's a lot to play with here, and yeah, I like that. I like a movie that's got a lot to discuss, and this one sure does. And we're about to get our first glimpse of Laurie Strode after 40 years. And I think the decision to make her hair long, like in the first movie, was great for continuity's sake. I think you just buy into the character more than if she, like she looked in H2O. She had that the short cropped hairdo like she normally has. I like that her hair was long in this one. Just a nice little touch. Thank you, Charles Thompson. I appreciate that. Favorite movie of 2018? Yes, me too. And I was scared when I watched this for the third time that, it was going to be pushed back and Mandy was going to take number one. I've got to be honest with myself. Yeah, I'm a Halloween fanatic, but I still got to give the movie its fair due. And if it doesn't deserve the top spot, then I'm not going to give it the top spot. But after that third watch, it cemented the top spot. Tisha, I did not get the book, the Halloween 2018 book, the novelization. I'd like to someday, but I haven't yet. Rohit, we're going to get to the high school portion of the movie, but I will say, no, I think that, and I know that is a big part of what a lot of people disliked about this movie, was everything outside of, Laurie Strode. But you know what? I didn't mind the high school stuff. We see a lot of that in slasher movies anyway, and I didn't think any of it was annoying. It all felt pretty believable. But we'll get to that. We're gonna talk a lot about that stuff when it comes. So now they're sitting down, and our first look at Laurie Strode. This is a very tough woman. Even before we've seen her handle a rifle, just the way she grabs that chair and slams it on the floor, and just her, her body posture, lets you know that this woman she's not to be messed with. It's hard, I get sucked in these scenes, and sometimes I just want to sit back, and because the other night I really was just soaking this whole thing in. And it's one of the few movies, like usually when I've watched the movie 3 times in like a couple months span, I'm kind of done with it for a while. But I'm being honest with you, I feel like I could watch this movie again. Do I think it'd be cool if Tommy Doyle drove the truck at the end? Yeah, that'd be pretty cool, actually. If it was Paul Rudd, that'd be even cooler, I think. So she just said Michael Myers murdered 5 people. Now, here's and this is a very subjective question right here. I know Cody brought this up too. I watched Cody's commentary. Um, would this person be this destroyed after 40 years? That's the question. My opinion, given the situation that she went through, I know it was 5 people, but I think yes. And I do think it depends on the person. It depends on the woman, and it could depend on the man. Anybody in this situation. But I think people deal with things differently. Some people can have a traumatic event like that happen, and then they can move on with their lives. A couple years later, some pretty quick. And then there are some people that they can never go on with their lives. It affects their entire being. I have seen this. Um, I've seen people that have been through traumatic events and come out the other side like it didn't it affected them, but they chose to move on with their life. They chose to have a family. They chose to carry on. But I've seen the other side of it too, where it just destroys a person. It ruins their life. uh they end up divorced. They go down a really bad path. I've seen it happen. So and I'll even say I've seen it happen with less things. This is a person that had 5 people die, very close friends, and then she was stalked herself. So yes, I think Laurie could. I think she'd still be in that state. I think she'd be truly, truly messed up after all that. Jason JV, and it serves the story. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that. It does serve the story too, because if Laurie's not like that, then we don't really have a movie. So, I like to give a creative license to move the story forward. If it's not so far out of whack that it takes me out of the movie, it didn't do that. So now here's a controversial character. We got Ray, the father. This, I will admit, this is one of the lower points of the movie. I don't think the peanut butter penis joke really was needed. It almost made him seem like more of a joke than an actual father. I would have liked somebody that's, a lot stronger. I would like a strong fatherly husband presence in this movie with Karen and with Allison. I think that could have made for an even better movie. I think Ray, I don't think they just fleshed out his character enough, and then it carries on throughout the end of the movie. I didn't find him completely annoying. Like, he didn't take me out of the movie, but yeah, he was definitely one of the low spots of this movie if I had to pick it apart. But Allison and Karen, I don't have a problem with them two, actually. I'm gonna touch on some things along the way with the two of them. Some shining spots, I think, and it's gonna be interesting. But Allison, I love, actually. I actually would say I even wanted more out of Allison, and for a good reason, because I really enjoyed her as a character. So I'm hoping in the sequel they really take advantage of her as a character, and they pretty much move her front and center. Thank you, Mark Warling. I appreciate that. Happy New Year's to you too. Yeah, yeah, we're gonna get to the bathroom scene. I might pass out. That is a great scene. And the music in that scene. Well, I'll save it. I'll save it until we get to it. Now we got a scene that's kind of similar to the original. We got 3 teenagers. They're walking. You see the leaves just plastered on the ground. Now, if I had to pick out another thing about this movie, from a cinematography standpoint, if you look at Dean Cundy's cinematography in the first movie, yes, it kills this movie. I will say that. Um, it's not horrible though. I mean, it's still, if I walk outside, I can see this. But as far as like setting mood and setting atmosphere, Dean Cundy was a master at that. Um, and they didn't lean too hard on that in the daylight scenes. The night scenes are much better though. But Dean Cundy, he pumped up those blues a little bit, and I'm a sucker for that. I don't know about you guys, but I like blue in my horror movies. I mean, you can see it in my backdrop. I'm a freaking big fan of blue. So I would have loved to have seen that. And if I could bring up another sequel, Halloween 6, from an atmosphere standpoint, I think is the number one out of the whole franchise. Halloween 6, it has exactly the look that I want. Now we have our introduction of Cameron as a character. This is another character. I didn't have a major issue with him. I guess like Allison, I wanted a little bit more of him. But there is a deleted scene too, and I haven't watched it yet, of Cameron. And I guess it explains where he was because he kind of just disappears. So I guess he's one of the lucky ones. But I have a strong feeling that he's going to be back in the sequel too. And then we got Discount Foggy Nelson. Doesn't he look like Foggy from Daredevil, who was also in Idle Hands? I can't remember the actor's name, but he looks like he could be his brother or his, maybe nephew or something. He looks just like Foggy Nelson. Getting a drink of water. John Kyle Stanton, thank you, brother. What's up? Nice to see you in here. Lee, in your opinion, what was better, Donald Pleasant's Scotch accident and phenomena, or the voiceover they did for Dr. Loomis in this movie? Oh, Scottish accent. No, the voiceover in this movie is fucking gold. One of my favorite parts of the movie. It sent chills down my spine. This is what they should have done in H2O. The impersonation of Loomis was, I guess, serviceable in H2O, but it wasn't like, it didn't bring me back, and it wasn't like chilling or anything. It was almost scary in this movie that that it was almost like a dying wish of Loomis to just finally be rid of Myers. Burn his ashes, do whatever you can to get rid of him. He saw Myers as pure evil, and they capitalized on that with just that one line in this. Now we have Laurie Strode. She is with Allison. They're at school, and I guess she's given like life lessons to Allison. And Allison's asking her, "Why can't you let this thing go?" And that's just another example of reinforcing Laurie's state as a character. And it's trickled down to her daughter and her granddaughter. All the way down to her granddaughter. And, her granddaughter wants to know, why can't she move on? And Laurie Strode has made the ultimate decision to push her family aside to protect them, which I find that very interesting, actually. She cares about her family so much, loves her family so much, that she'll do anything to protect them, including wreck her own life and, push them aside. And the very next scene, they show her firing away at target practice. And she is not playing around at all. This is Sarah Connor. She looks like what Sarah Connor became after having to deal with the Terminator. And I just can't stress how great the music is in this movie. I have my TV turned up just a little bit, but here it is, the scene with Loomis's voice. And Aaron, he's just kind of poring over this tape deck, listening to Loomis's cries. It has to die. It has to die. And you got this music playing in the background that's just so emotional. Like, this is the most emotional soundtrack out of the whole franchise. Like, you didn't have the emotion aspect in the first movie. But, I mean, and I think that emotion is so important in this movie because it stresses the state of mind of the characters. What are these characters left with after 40 years? Namely Laurie Strode. And I think that music was just perfect. It accented her state of mind throughout this whole thing. And this scene where she's sitting there and she wants to make sure that this transfer goes according to plan. And she just screams, and it almost brings a tear to your eye. I think Jamie Lee Curtis did such a fantastic job in this movie. And laugh at me all you want, but to me, it's Oscar worthy. I really think her performance in this is so good. I mean, it really made me very emotional. I'm getting emotional just thinking about it, just watching her performance right now. What's up, Megan? How you doing? Nice to see you. Oh, and we're going to get to Sartain, guys. Oh, we're going to get to Sartain. I find him extremely interesting. I do. And he's so controversial. There's people that hate him as a character so much, and I'm the opposite of that. I love him. But yeah, I got to sit here and just marvel at Jamie Lee Curtis for a sec. That scream, that guttural scream that she just lets out. Crown the Empire, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Happy New Year's. Love this movie. Glad to own it so I can watch along. One thing that confuses me, might be to shed some light on, is he blind in one eye. Yes, he is blind in one eye because if you remember in that first movie, he was stabbed in the eye with the clothes hanger. So, and that's why, if that's what you're getting at, yeah, that's why he's blind in one eye. Yep, and there's another pivotal scene coming up here too. Laurie Strode's going to come into the restaurant, and she is already a mess because she just left the prison transfer, and I think this scene sets up the next scene. It sets up Judy Greer's Karen's response, and we're gonna talk about that in just a second. But Laurie, she's downing the alcohol. You know, she's trying to just put it all out of her mind. And she pretty much comes in and just ruins their dinner. Richie Work, how much money does it take to actually do a live reaction view of a movie, but have the movie on the screen at the time of your channel? Well, I don't have the movie actually showing. Actually, I'll show you guys what I'm looking at real quick. Yeah, there's a scene with Laurie Strode, and she's at the dinner table. I'm going to turn it away now. I think you can show like a couple seconds without getting in trouble. But I'll tell you, Universal Studios, man, they are freaking... They will take every dime they can from you. I didn't... I got the delay on here, and I only showed like the top portion of the screen. Yeah, Laurie Strode, she's freaking out right now. She's crying. Now, and her response here kind of cements that idea that she caused the prison break. She didn't cause the prison break. Um, because I don't think she would be acting like this after the fact. You know? And plus, the prison break hasn't even happened yet. So it would be impossible for Laurie Strode to cause that. Now, um, Sartain could have caused it. So, what's up, Zachary Cook? How you doing? There's just so much going on in this movie, from scene to scene to scene. There's like not a dry spot. And you can see that Allison, she still loves her grandmother. She goes out there, she comforts her, she hugs her. So, you know, all this time, I think Allison sees what Laurie's going through. She sees that Laurie's, you know, being a pretty much a terrible wife, terrible mother, but she knows why. And I like this little... now, yeah, here we go. We got Karen, and she's talking to Allison. Let me see. I'll see if I can point it at so you guys can see it. But yeah, and she's talking about what she grew up with. You know, she was pretty much trained her whole life to, you know, her whole life. There was no like love there. You know, Laurie had a horrible bedside manner. So she received no love, so that's why she gives that response. That's why she has this kind of cold demeanor over her, because of her childhood. You know, when you're raised in a childhood that's that strict and you know, it reminds me of kind of what I watched with Bird Box today. I watched Bird Box again today, and you know, it's kind of similar to what Sandra Bullock did with that character. She was extremely cold to those two children. And so she had, you know, she was just very assertive and, you know, zero love shown whatsoever. Now we got the prison break. Like I want to get up and go get a drink, but I can't because they keep every scene from scene to scene. It's just so much to talk about. Yeah, this Prison Break, it's similar to the first Prison Break visually. You know, with the prisoners kind of scattered about across the road. This one really reminds me of the first movie. And one thing I haven't talked about yet is all the characters in this movie. They look like normal people. They look like you and me. They don't look like supermodels. You know, it looks like a town that, you know, next door. It looks like your next door neighbor. That's another thing that I love, the attention to detail in this movie. Haddonfield making it look like, you know, you and me, your neighbor. It doesn't look like Hollywood, you know. It doesn't look like a lot of teen slashers that we see. Even Scream has the, you know, the slashers with all the good-looking people. No, all these people, they look like normal people. You could see them at your high school. You could see them at your supermarket. You could see them no matter where you go. These look like normal people, and it just adds to the movie. Shocking scene coming up here too. When that kid got killed, I did not see that coming. Like now, speaking of atmosphere, I wasn't the biggest fan of the day scenes, but the night it looks spectacular. Actually, the way um, David Gordon Green has this lit, um, kind of really creepy. You know, it's lit in a way to where you don't know what's coming from behind, from any angle. And more importantly, you don't know where Myers is. So you got this kid, he's got the gun pointed, he's looking around, and behind him is just like pure blackness. Yeah, and if you look at that, the cop there laying on the ground with his face all bloody, the violence feels so realistic in this movie. It doesn't feel like a gag, like, you know, a lot of the other movies in the franchise. A lot of the kills, you know, it was like a setup and a gag. Is what it was. You know, like the shotgun going through Kelly Meekler's stomach in Halloween 4. All that's like a gag. This, all the violence, it felt conditional. It felt like it was, you know, natural progression. Yeah, and we haven't even seen, you know, Tiana Cooper says, watching Michael Myers stalk his prey gave me chills. Absolutely. And you know what? We haven't even gotten to Myers with the mask on yet. Right now, he's killing the kid. And I like that. I like that they waited a while to actually, you know, have Myers put the mask on. You know, by the time he put that mask on, you were already scared shitless of him. You know, he was a mystery. Myers is best when he's a just a complete blank slate and a complete mystery, and really that's what got me so into the character in the first place. You know, that's what separates Myers to me from Jason Voorhees, from Freddy, even Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger's pretty creepy, but Myers felt real. You know, like this could be, you know, at any mental ward in your town there could be a Michael Myers, and that scares the shit out of me. And here we got Sheriff Hawkins, played by what's his name? Hold on, I got it up here. Sheriff Hawkins, played by Will Patton. That's right, Will Patton. Hawkins was interesting too because he was the first responder when Myers was arrested back in '78. Um, I before I saw this movie, when we would do like our Scream streams and Hallow streams and all that stuff, you know, I always kind of hinted at that I would have loved if they would have had like a scene set in '78 and maybe show, you know, a young Hawkins capturing Myers. You know, just a little quick scene at the beginning or something like that, setting that up, or maybe even like a flashback, kind of like what they did with the flashback with Dana and Aaron at the cemetery. That was a nice touch. You know, I like when they do stuff like that, as long as it doesn't get in the way of the movie. Yeah, here we go right here. I just speak of the devil. They're at the cemetery right now, and then Aaron's going to talk about the case of Judith Myers. Which is another reason I didn't even mention that either. That's another reason why this case would be remembered 40 years later, because this is a kid that was 6 years old, and he killed his sister with a butcher knife. Tell me that isn't noteworthy. And then 15 years later, he escapes. Yeah, we got that little flashback scene right here now. And, you know, there's just audio of Aaron talking over it. We don't hear what we heard in the original movie, which makes the scene even kind of eerie. It's almost like seeing the scene in a new light. Yeah, but you look at Aaron's face when he's talking about this case too. You could tell like this case really affected him because of the coldness of Myers. You know, all the way from 6 years old to now. And here is now this is the sheriff. Now this is a character that's I'm sure is going to be coming back in the sequel because we don't see too much of him. Sheriff Barker. Yeah. Mark Warling, thank you so much for the super chat. Love the music. The Shape Hunts Allison. Wish that scene was longer with music. The extended version of The Shape Hunts Allison is on YouTube. Look it up. Yeah, that's one of my favorite musical cues. We're definitely going to get to that scene. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go get me a monster. I got to have a monster now. You guys got me pumped up. What's up, Chris? How you doing, man? Nice to see you. Okay, we are at the gas station. I haven't even talked about all the homages to the other sequels yet. This is one of them, obviously. Halloween 4. When he kills the mechanic. One thing I like, you know, it's amazing to me that they got so many homages into this. Yet it didn't get in the way of the flow of the movie. Like there was very few times that the homages like just got, you know, jumped right out and all of a sudden I was taken back to that movie and I wasn't focusing on what was going on. No, when I was watching this, I was completely engulfed in every happening in this movie. Does that make sense? Happening. I see that ice machine. It makes me think of Psycho 3 for some reason. When Norman Bates, he's reaching in the ice machine, and he grabs the ice and it's got the blood on it. You guys ever seen Psycho 3? Yeah, here's kind of your homage to H2O, but this scene is done much better than H2O. I love Aaron's acting, or Dana, I'm sorry. I love Dana's acting in this scene. It's subtle at first, you know? Like Myers, he comes up to the... she knows that Myers is coming up, but she doesn't feel the danger yet. She's wondering if it's like a bathroom attendant or something like that. But there's like a really like human moment, emotional moment when she... when he like tries to shake the door and she says, "Excuse me," you know, she still feels like there's a sliver of safety there. Like it hasn't all sunk in yet that she is in like really severe danger. I'm going to show you guys. Hold on. Here we go. Yeah, watch her reaction to this scene. Yeah, there you go. "Excuse me." But he's not leaving. And this, you know, this felt real to me. I had never seen Myers in a situation like this where, you know, he always felt larger than life to me, even though he was, you know, human. There was just that aspect of Myers, you know, he always felt like almost like superhuman, you know, where this felt like this could happen at any gas station that you go to. And you know, I will say I have actually been, you know, because when I was in the military, I would go on road. When I was PCSing from base to base, I would go on road trips a lot, and you have to stop at a lot of these little gas stations, you know, and those little rest stops. Oh, here's the teeth. He's dropping the teeth right now. That is a nice touch. I mean, if you really want to scare your audience, man, throwing something like that in there, he drops the freaking teeth and he's got blood dripping from his hands. You know, this is a brutal, brutal Myers. To me, I'll say this is probably the most brutal Myers out of the whole franchise. And then adding to that, you have Dana's reaction, her performance through the whole thing. Her performance was so good in this scene. Yeah, especially this scene right here where she's like, the camera's like above the stall and it's looking down at her and she's just like screaming bloody murder. And then Aaron comes in and he sees it all going on. He's got this crowbar. Oh, this scene is just so insane. He's literally slamming his head against the wall. Wow. I mean, this scene is just so powerful. It's very powerful. Bravo, David Gordon Green, man. For putting a scene like this in a Halloween movie. Wow. And then here we go. Listen to the music. Yeah, like the music goes down. And it starts, you know, the music goes from like almost action oriented to like somber. Like, okay, she's dying. She's in the middle of her death right now. And then we're focused in on Aaron's face. And he just has to soak all that in. You know, he's not dead yet. And he knows that Dana is dying. And then there's the mask. He's putting on the mask right now. Glorious. That mask. Yeah, disturbing is the perfect word for it, Adeline. Yeah, and you know, I thought the first time that mask came on, it was going to be like this epic event and like, yeah, it's kick-ass. But no, it was like when that mask came on and they had that really somber musical cue going over it, it was almost like a reminder that something really atrocious and tragic just happened that resulted in that mask going on his head. You know? I mean, from a storytelling standpoint, to me, it's just genius the way David Gordon Green handled that scene and on. And now we're back at Laurie Strode's house, and she's about to go into the basement. She's starting to get ready. She knows that he's back. Yeah, Bo Tiggy, that part is sad. Yes, very sad. It's one of the few death scenes that had, you know, that like I felt, you know, like there was just a sense of just like mourning over it, you know? It was just it's very strange. It's just a strange death scene that was so effective. So Laurie Strode's about to go over to Karen's house to tell her she needs to get her shit together because Myers is out. And I don't think Karen has fully grasped it yet, you know, like almost like she doesn't even believe it. Comic Shop News would love Aaron to come back if he's still alive. You know, they didn't show him dead. And it makes me wonder if, like, originally they meant for him to be dead, but then because of all the internet hoopla, a lot of people are saying they want him to come back. They have that opening. They could bring him back. You know, this damaged person that went through a traumatic experience himself. He kind of experienced what Laurie Strode went through. You know, So I think that would be a really missed opportunity if they don't bring him back in the second one. You know, show that fallout of this movie. You know, how it affected not only Laurie Strode, but how it affected the other surviving members. You know, obviously it affected Karen, it affected Allison. So you could explore a lot of that in the sequel. Kind of like what they did in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Yeah, Karen does not even want to, you know, she still doesn't even want to hold a gun. You know, she's so much in denial. And really, that's just because of all the damage that her mother did to her. I will say another regret that I had about this was I wish Hawkins would have lived. I would have liked Will Patton to come back in the second movie. But I think Barker will definitely be coming back, and now this problem is you know, in his hands. So I'm wondering if they'll put him front and center in the next movie. Who knows? Oh, and here we got the first trick or treats scene. Now this scene is lit very nice, actually. You know, it's got a lot of that Halloween feel to it. The colors. If you look at these two kids in the background, there's like this orangish uh, vibe around the trees, and then the camera pans up to Myers. Uh, yeah, and there we go. We see this scene just screams Halloween 2. You know, Myers walking down that little garage entrance into the back, into the shed, grabs the hammer. Yeah, and you know, this scene right here is it's really carnage candy for the Halloween fans. You know, let's see Myers in his natural habitat, and let's see, you know, him do the fun stuff, I guess you could say. And there's still some shocking stuff in this scene too, actually. You know, especially with the infant. You know, that fear that because he killed the kid earlier, will he kill the infant? But yeah, you know, I like that you don't see him hitting her over the head with the hammer. You hear it, and to me, that's more frightening. And then he's like almost like a robot. He's just doing his thing. He has no feelings, no emotions, no remorse. You know, he just is in his element. He just is a killer. And you know, we haven't even talked about the sibling angle yet. You know, he is not Laurie Strode's brother, and I don't think they're going to bring that into the. If they brought that into in the next movie, that would be crazy, and I think that would be pretty stupid. But yeah, and if you pay attention to the scene too, when he before he walks into the house, it's orange. When he walks out of the house, there's more of a blue hue, which I found that really interesting actually. And it makes me wonder if, like, behind the scenes, if that was a calculated decision to light the scene, starting it with orange and then coming out blue like that. I don't know. Just a nice touch, though. And then we got the scene with Marion Scene coming up here. Dave McCray interviewed her recently, actually. Um, this victim right here, who gets the neck through the neck, gets the knife through the back of the neck, and that scene right, you know, that scene right there really lets you know that this is a Myers that is not to be fucked with at all. I mean, pretty much every kill in this movie, they just drive home that point that this is a very dangerous Myers. And one thing I meant to mention when he entered that bathroom was, like, the second he entered that bathroom, his age it ceased to become a factor. You know, there was all this talk of, like, he's 60 years old. There's no way that he's going to be able to carry out these murders. As soon as he stepped into that bathroom, because of everything that had happened before that, you had no qualms with him being 60 years old at all. Yeah, and here we go. He grabs the ponytail. Oh, slams her head against the counter and then knife through the neck. Jesus. Okay, now we're at the scene with the dance, the Halloween dance. I like that they threw this stuff in here, because that would be happening. There would be like Halloween dances and kids having fun on Halloween night. And it's nice to throw something like that in there. Like, they're having the time of their lives, and then here comes Michael Myers into the picture and, fucks up everything. I've never been like a slasher viewer that's like against seeing teenagers in. I mean, that's kind of par for the course, right? To have like teenage victims in slasher movies. So why is it a problem in this movie? I guess that's if I'm playing devil's advocate to those guys that don't like these young people. I mean, the first movie, they were teenagers, and would these teenagers be acting like teenagers did in 78? Hell no. It's a different generation. But were they over the top? I don't think so. I think a lot of the kids I see, they act like this. I didn't find them annoying at all. If you want to talk about annoying, look at like Trent in the Friday the 13th remake. I have a good time with that movie. But if you want to talk about annoying freaking young characters, there's your movie. None of that was in this. And I actually liked Vicki, who was babysitting the young kid. I liked it. In that short little amount of time, there was this nice little exchange between her and the kid, and they, he was really funny, and you could tell that she really cared for him. Just from their short exchange, you could tell that she had babysat him quite a few times in the past. That's good writing. He built up their characters in just a very short amount of time. And she's very likable. Now, when we get to her kill scene, I'll talk about that when we get there, because I did have a little bit of a problem with that. And there was a golden opportunity that I don't think was followed through. So, and you probably know what I'm going to say, but we'll get to that. I like the way this kid's room's lit, too. Yeah, I kind of hated that Vicki died. She was a really cool person. But I mean, if you break down every teenage character in this movie, Vicki, Cameron, Allison, um, Discount, Foggy Nelson, really none of them are annoying. And as a matter of fact, the kill for Discount Foggy Nelson is actually gold. Like that's one of the better kills of the movie. So I don't know why you guys have a problem with these kids. I don't. It's a nice change of pace too. You're not 100% focusing on Myers and Laurie, because there was a big audience that, including myself, that were not that happy that Jamie Lee Curtis was coming back to this. And it just so happens that she's awesome in this. So that's just like, the kids are like gravy to the whole thing. Donald Newton, thank you very much. I'll watch the beginning, but I'm here. Wouldn't let you down, brother. No problem, man. Thanks for stopping by. So Allison just saw Cameron. He was kissing the other girl, and naturally she's gonna get pissed off. And then he throws her phone into this punch bowl or whatever it is, and I realized that it's something to set up a scene, because how do we get the phone out of her hands so that way they can't reach her? That's what that scene was for. Could they have handled it better? Yes, but you know what? It moves the story forward, so I'm fine with it. But one thing I liked about Cameron too is he is like a, I think he's like the grandson of Lonnie from the first movie. Or no, he's the son of Lonnie from the first movie. That was a nice little touch. Still, guys, not one dry scene in the whole movie. Every single scene, it's just like it has to be there. If you take one of the scenes out, then I don't know. It just from an editing standpoint, I think they nailed it in this movie. That is a big kitchen knife. And we're about to get into Vicky's death here pretty soon. And yeah, I think some decisions were made that didn't result in the best scene. Does that make any sense? I don't know. But yeah, she's got her boyfriend there. He's got the pumpkin, and her boyfriend should have like been the first person to go up those stairs, and that's what the kid said too. He said, "Let him go up there." I don't know if I'm on a date with a girl at her house. I'm not gonna let her go up and see what the strange noise is. I'm gonna go up for her. William Doodle, what's up, man? Anto W, I agree, man. I miss not having cell phones in slasher movies. Because it's just like it's a problem for writers because they have to come up with a creative way around cell phones in movies. You know. I'm gonna turn on my fan. It's freaking hot in here. I got my little ring light on, and the thing generates a lot of heat. Okay, so the kid, he just went down the stairs. He just said, "Hey, there's a strange noise upstairs." So I think the kid saw Myers or something like that. And yeah, he just says, "Send him up," and then she goes up anyway. But I think there was a golden opportunity here because you already got Myers in the closet. Everybody from that trailer thought that that's got to be like a dream sequence or something like that. And the lighting's great in this scene. I think it could have been a lot creepier. Sorry, guys, I'm kind of sucked into this scene. Alex Boothby, what would you give Halloween out of 10, Lee? If I'm being honest, I'd give it like a 9 out of 10. Okay, I'll say that. Maybe 9.2 out of 10. I'll give it that. Now I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna point the camera when she goes up to the closet. I want you guys to see that scene. I think there was like a beat that was missing or something, and I think Carpenter could have taken that scene, and I think Carpenter could have made it like terrifying. Mr. Sandman, hell yeah, I would absolutely love to see a sequel to Halloween 2018. There's gonna be a sequel. Happy New Year, Kenneth. Okay, we're about to get into the scene now. Okay, so she's saying good night to the kid. I haven't eaten a bite of my popcorn yet. A lot of the deaths are off screen in this movie too, if you'll notice. Really, I think it's just like the bathroom scene, and her death is kind of on screen, but they don't really show the knife going in. Yeah, there you go. It feels like there was a beat missing with that scene or something, you know? Maybe they should have like maybe cranked it in slow motion or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I think Carpenter could have handled that scene and made it like insanely scary. I mean, I definitely don't hate it or anything, but yeah, I just think there was a better scene to be had there. But I can't say enough about James Jude Courtney. What he brought to, I mean, can you imagine this movie if Myers, like, I think that's the one thing that everybody agrees on too. I don't think I've talked to one person that said they didn't like James Jude Courtney as Myers. He is that constant with everybody. He is amazing. Oh, there's your Halloween 3 Easter egg. I think that's the Easter egg that's like most out in front for everybody. All the other ones are pretty subtle. But yeah, James Jude Courtney. Wow. He might be the best Myers out of the whole bunch. Holly Klein says they should have made the scene with darker lighting. Hallway is too lit for me. Yeah, I agree. I think the hallway was a little bit too bright. If you look at the hallway scene in the first Halloween, that's the way it should have been lit. Now you got Sheriff Hawkins. He is at the residence, figuring out what's going on. I am having a blast watching this with you guys, by the way. Beth, I completely agree. They should not have shown that scene in the trailer. I think that is part of my problem with the trailer is they showed a little bit too many of the kills, like the bathroom scene. Can you imagine if that bathroom scene wasn't in the trailer? It probably would have made a few audience members pass out. Victor Watson, thank you very much. I wanted that babysitter to survive. Vicki, yeah, I said that earlier. I would have liked her to survive as well. Very, very likable character. So Laurie Strode just pulled up, and we're going to see Nick Castle. I believe this is one of the few scenes that Nick Castle's in this movie. Ian Murphy, thank you very much. I hate that Vicki died and Cameron lived. The whole school dance should have been a H6 style massacre. Love the movie though. Happy New Year. Yeah. Yeah, I would have liked that if like Myers showed up at the actual dance and just freaking started chopping heads. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, that could have been fun. I like this though when Hawkins comes up and he sees the ghost, the bed sheet, another kind of harkening back to the first movie, and it's Vicki. I think Holly's right. I think if they would have turned off the lights in that hallway, if there would have been a good reason to have the lights off, or maybe Myers killed the power. Now we're talking. We're thinking on the fly. What if Myers went and killed the power in the house, and then he comes in, and Vicki is in the dark, and then she goes upstairs because I don't know. I think if they would have made a few different choices, it would have been freaking awesome. And maybe they had like a night light with batteries or something like that. Something off of electricity, not using electricity as your lighting. It could have been a terrifying scene. Yeah, Laurie just shot Myers in the shoulder, and he keeps moving like nothing happened. That was a nice touch when he killed the kid, and he's got the tattoo 10/31/2018, and little does he know that that's the day he died. Pretty crazy, pretty cryptic. Laurie is completely in charge in this movie. I mean, Hawkins, like, how do you overpower Laurie from an authoritative standpoint? You can't. You know, she's pretty much running the show almost. You know, she's telling Hawkins, you need to do something. You can't just sit back and let all this happen. You know, she's really impatient. We need to find him now, and we need to end him. And here's Sartain. And I didn't talk too much about Sartain at the beginning, but Sartain reminded me of Loomis a bit when, you know, just in his accent, the way he talks, his I don't know, his vocal range is kind of like Loomis, but yet he's a different character than Loomis. He's like, you know, Loomis was crazy in his own way, but he was never like obsessed with Myers, like almost like respected him, and he never wanted to know what it felt like to kill a person. That's what I loved about Sartain, actually. You know, I didn't want another Myers, and he definitely wasn't that. He was a character who was completely obsessed with Myers. His time in the penitentiary. Can you imagine? You're over a patient in a penitentiary, in a mental ward. It's been a long day, and that patient hasn't said a word in 40 years, and you know what he's capable of. You know what the danger is. You've read all the files from Loomis. Wouldn't you be a little bit off your rocker? You might not be, but I guarantee you there are some people that might be off the rocker, and I think that's what Sartain was. You know, he was the guy that was with him. He was with him longer than Loomis was. So it affected him in a really, really negative way. And this was his chance, you know. It's almost like, you know, Myers waited for this night, but it's almost like Sartain waited for this night. He almost wanted him to escape. Hell, he probably even made it so he could escape. And so it's kind of interesting. You could say Myers is inhumanly patient, but maybe Sartain was inhumanly patient, and he wanted to feel what Myers felt like. He wanted Myers to go back to his natural habitat, to get that mask back on. You know, he became obsessed with the character. It's not too far-fetched because, hell, there's a lot of people that are obsessed with the Myers as a character, even outside of the movie screen, you know? I mean, there's a reason why Halloween has the fan base that it has, because of Michael Myers. And I think putting a character in this movie that's obsessed with him like we are, but on a very deranged scale, I think that's interesting. I really do. And I'll say this too, before Sartain makes the choice to put that mask on, I was so interested in him. I wanted to know what he was going to do next. When he does put the mask on, for a brief second, I was like, wait, what? If he keeps that mask on throughout the rest of the movie, I'm getting up and walking out. It was jarring. But, you know, luckily, that's not what happened. So, the after effects of that, I think, are satisfying. Victor Watson, after getting the movie on digital, like it even more. But that doctor was a nice twist. Yeah, I like the twist. Oh, and here's the scene this is the justification. I posted this, #justice for Sartain. You know, Sartain right now is talking to Hawkins, and he's telling him why he's so obsessed with Michael. He's pretty much telling the audience right now that, you know, some bad shit's about to happen. You know, he even tells him that he is curious to see what it's like to kill a person. That should have been a red flag to Hawkins right then and there. You know? Why would a doctor say some crazy shit like that? You know? That scene right there is so important, and it pretty much supports Sartain as a character, his actions as a character. If you didn't have that scene in there, then I could buy everybody completely hating the character. But that scene pretty much set up everything that followed after. And one of the special effects guys, he plays one of the cops. And Why don't I remember his name? I always. Let me see. Hold on. See if I can find it here. He actually had a cameo in Kill Bill Volume 2. He played the bride's boyfriend. Casting, production design, art design, set decoration. Oh well, I'll find it later. But yeah, now we're at the scene where let me find his name. I keep calling him Discount Foggy Nelson, and that's rude. Let me see. Hold on. Cameron Oscar. Yeah, I think his name's Oscar. Okay, played by Drew Shield. This is one of my favorite kill sequences in the movie. I love how the light, because it's like a timed light in the I think they're in the backyard, and that light goes off and then on, and then Myers, you never know where he is. Donald Newton, thank you very much. Sartain, putting on the mask coming out from under the car felt like Rob Zombie's Halloween movie. I will agree with that. I mean, that's definitely something that Rob Zombie would do. But Rob Zombie wouldn't set up that moment like this movie did. More specifically, a moment that would have occurred in... let me scroll up here for a sec. That would have occurred in Laurie's weird music video, Meltdown Dreams. We got another one, Mark Whirling. Thank you. Check out Halloween Unmasked. It's by the Ringer Podcast Network. Really good 8-part series. I watched it during the month of October. Look it up. Cool. I'll look that up. Oh yeah, here we go. I'm going to show you guys this scene. I like showing you guys a few of the scenes while we're doing this. Yeah, the light went off. That was a chilling scene though, when that light went off and you just see like kind of the silhouette of Myers. And then we're going to hear the music cue, my favorite music cue out of the whole thing, the Allison's theme. Yep, Oscar's about to get his he's about to get a fence hook in his neck. And by the way, about this death scene is the death scene that David Gordon Green wanted to film for 15 years. He said if he could ever film a death scene in a slasher movie, this would be the one, because I think he had like nightmares about this or something like that. And it just so happens he put it in a Halloween movie. It's a really effective death scene. And then Allison sees it. Now, I agree with this. I think this scene should have played out longer. Yeah, there's that music. Oh, it sounds so freaking cool. Yeah, that score had everybody buzzing. And the way they did that score too, they took like a violin bow, or whatever you call the I'm not like as far as like, I'm not an expert in violins, but I know they took that and they ran it against an electric guitar. And that's how they made that sound. Victor Watson, beginning of the movie, killing those 2 reporters at the gas station was intense. Yeah, we had a big discussion on that during that scene. But this movie just flies by. I mean, I can't believe we're already at this section of the movie. We're already in the 3rd act. It really, I mean, it does. It just flies right by. I think a good slasher movie, you don't want it to end. When you get to that final chase, you don't want it to end. You're like, give me more, give me more, give me more. And this movie, before that final act, there's just so much meat to chew on. It's not just a killer roaming the streets, Picking off victims one by one, just really superficial type of slasher movie. No, this one's got a lot of meat to it. So by the time you get to that final act, it's just that much more intense. Now, I have heard some complaints that Karen's reaction to Ray dying, like she didn't have a reaction. I watched this again the other night. Karen did not know that Ray had died yet. So that's why she didn't react. When Ray died, she was in the house, and Laurie didn't even say anything to her. And I think that was a choice. We're in the middle of this traumatic event right now. We're in the thick of it, and the last thing I want to do is get you upset that your husband just died. But, for the shit that Karen gets, she has one of the coolest scenes in the whole movie at the very end. And you know what scene I'm talking about. This is where, and I didn't see the end, like this portion of Cody's commentary, but this is where Cody and I differ. I love this third act. And watching it the third time the other night cemented that. I think that whole showdown between Karen, Laurie, Allison, and Myers, it was everything I wanted in a final act. I thought it lasted, long enough. There were some nice beats in there. Laurie falling off the balcony was a nice callback to the first movie. They covered a lot of ground in that scene, actually. And yeah, we're gonna talk more about that when it comes, though. But yeah, now we have this is a scene where they run over Myers. Hawkins is about to run Myers over, and Myers doesn't even move. He's just pretty much a machine. He just stands there. Yes, Victor, the pacing was excellent. And here's the scene, here's the twist that freaks everybody out. It freaked me out when I first saw it. I was just like, what the fuck just happened? But now that I've watched it 2 more times, I love this twist, and I love after it when they're in the cop car. I mean, Allison has Myers sitting right next to her, and he's out cold. How scary is that? I think if I could change anything about this scene, I don't think I would have had him put the mask on, but I get why they did that, because he wanted to know what it felt like. He put the mask on for a brief second because he wanted to feel like what Myers felt with that mask on. Because I believe when Myers puts that mask on, it ignites something, That's why he wears the mask. Without the mask, he's a straight up killer, but the mask kind of brings on, like, I guess, the supernatural or something. I mean, there are triggers in Myers, and we're going to see one of those triggers come up here real soon too when he's out. There's a trigger that brings him back. But yeah, Sartain, he's over Michael right now. And it's like his prize. He just got his prize. He's been obsessed with Myers this whole time. He's always been curious about that mask. And this was his opportunity. What does Myers feel like with that mask on? And so that's what he did. He put the mask on. He wanted to know what it felt like. As crazy as the scene is, it still kind of makes sense from a character standpoint. And you know what? It's definitely something worth talking about. So now, so he put on the mask for a second. He took it off. So he didn't want to wear the mask. He didn't want to go on a killing spree like Myers. He just wanted to feel what it felt like to kill somebody. And he killed Hawkins. So now we have Allison sitting in the back seat with Myers. This kind of reminded me of like Halloween 6 when Cara Strode is coming down the stairs and Myers is laying on the floor. And, the audience is always wondering, when's he going to wake up? Because he always wakes up. So this was an even worse situation because she couldn't leave. She's locked in the car with Myers. And here's the callback to Halloween 5. Got the two cops sitting in the car. Want to play Crazy Eights? I think they said asshole too, because there's a card game called Asshole. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did they say asshole? Were they playing asshole in Halloween 5? Film addict Lee, which theater experience was better for you, Halloween 4 or Halloween 2018? Halloween 2018 was my first Halloween film I ever saw in the theater because I was too young to see the remakes. Now, as far as a theater experience, as far as one that impacted me the most, I'm going Halloween 4. Halloween 4 is what pretty much made me the Halloween fanatic that I am. I think the ending of Halloween 4 is better than the ending of this movie, even though I love the ending of this movie. Halloween 4 is one of the greatest horror endings I've ever seen in my life. So it would be almost impossible to top that. You know, as far as like from an emotional standpoint, like when Loomis is screaming, you know, no, it scared the shit out of me. You know, seeing Jamie Lloyd's face with the blood and everything, it really just knocked the wind out of me. So nothing will ever beat that experience for me. But as far as like if I had to rank the Halloween theater experiences, because I've seen every one in the theater except 2 and 3, because I saw one on the a couple years back. I've seen the first one like 3 times now on the big screen. But this one would probably be my number 2 best theater experience. Christopher Nelson. It just came to me. That's the cop's name, who was the special effect. He did the practical effects, makeup effects, all that. Yeah. Okay. So Michael just came back. Now let me tell you why he attacked Sartain and not Allison, because I've heard some stuff on that too. The reason he attacked Sartain was because Sartain said Judith. Judith was a trigger to Myers. As soon as he said Judith, Myers he came to life. Who said Judith? Sartain. So immediately he starts attacking Sartain. You know, he wants to get out of the car and he starts killing Sartain. That was just a trigger. Crown the Empire, thank you very much. Here you go, Lee. I had the Vietnamese make you your very own PB&J banh mi sandwich. Yeah. I like that little call out to Halloween 5. I think that's the only call out to Halloween 5 in this. Now, I did hear that there is... Ooh. This is where he stomps. Yeah, I think you guys got to see that. He stomps his head. And then Allison is running through the woods. Running through the woods kind of reminded me of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 when Laurie's running through the woods. Yeah. Boom. I am having a blast with you guys. This is awesome. It's Just a Dream Podcast 2.0. Mine will be H2O just because of the ending. The audience went crazy at the end. Yeah, that was H2O had a great ending. It really did. I was pretty much pissed off at H2O up until that final act. You know, it just didn't check all those boxes that I wanted out of a Halloween movie. But in its defense, I was a big fan of that Thorn trilogy, 4, 5, and 6. I was really into that whole storyline, and I think I just wanted something more in that tone. It just didn't feel like Haddonfield. So H2O is a good movie, but I have my problems with it. I do. Now, some interesting things to talk about here in Laurie's house, especially when you get into her room, and you see that that hat that's hanging on the wall, a sombrero, and I actually pointed that out and on Twitter, and then bloodydisgusting.com made a story out of my post, which I was like, wow, that's pretty freaking awesome. So that, I guess that was my little claim to fame there with Bloody Disgusting. But yeah, we see the Myers house on the floor, like so Laurie like made a replica of the Myers house, which I find very interesting. I want to know more about that. Why did she construct the Myers house? Maybe that was like a therapeutic type thing for her, you know? I don't know. And I think they probably would have torn down the Myers house because of what happened. That's probably why we don't see it in this movie. Outside of that model that she made, of course. And then there's kind of a little homage to Halloween 2 with those surveillance screens. But yeah, Ray's about to get his. You know, Ray is kind of a worthless character. He just goes right out and he's killed dead. Check this out, guys. There's that Amongst Dead Things mask. And I think it looks very similar to the mask in this movie, actually. But yeah, I'll point it towards Ray. Yeah, Ray's about to get his. Yeah. Oh, and yeah, I love that he like put the flashlight inside the guy's head and made it look like a pumpkin. Yeah, good stuff. But yeah, Laurie. There you go. Laurie just looked outside. She saw that Ray got killed. She did not tell Karen. Yeah, she is in, full on protective mode, and of course she's not going to tell Karen that. My head is too big to put the mask on. Now we got another great scene here where Laurie leans up against the door and Myers thrusts through. And I literally thought that Laurie might die because of the way that, he's like slamming her head against the door. I'll tell you, this movie is just so intense. And this last act is just... wow. Just wow. I love this last act, guys. I don't know about you. I do. I love this last act. This is a very different Laurie Strode than Laurie Strode in H2O, too. I mean, she is full-on combat mode in this movie. Yeah, and he's slamming her head up against the door now. And there's a scene coming up too after she, because she blows two of his fingers off, and the scene like pans up from his feet up, and there's like this silhouette, and you got this badass music. It's one of the coolest like images of Myers I think I've ever seen. Bam! Just shot his freaking fingers right off. And I'll reiterate, like I said, I wanted Laurie to die in this movie before I saw the movie. And when I watched it, by the time I got to this point, I never thought this would happen, but I was rooting for her. I didn't want her to die. Looking back, I still kind of wish she would have died, but while I was watching it for the first time, I was so caught up in the movie and I was caught up in her performance that I was rooting for her. And she does such a great performance in this movie. Like Holly Klein just said, as much as I love Laurie, this should have been her demise, sacrificing for her family. Yeah, I think that would have been the way to go out too. If she died for her family. The way Myers opened that door was almost like an homage to 6. If you remember at the end of 6 when he like punches through the handle and then drops it on the floor. Kind of similar, even though he didn't punch through it, but just from an angle, it looked kind of like that. Yeah, here's that scene. I'm going to show you guys this. Yeah, here it is. That is badass. Look at that. Whew. That is not a man to be fucked with. Yeah, that is badass. Wow. I want to thank you guys because I paid $20 for this digital download, but you guys pretty much just bought this movie for me. Thank you all for the donations. That was very, very kind. Not that I wanted any donations. I wasn't gonna buy the digital, but then I thought, you know what? I want to do a commentary with you guys, And you guys were worth it, so I figured, hey, I'll buy the digital, and I'll still buy the 4K when it comes out. But I really appreciate the donations. Very nice. And I'm not gonna want this to end. Like, I'm having such a blast just discussing this movie with you guys. I was a little nervous at first, scared that I wouldn't have that much to say because I've talked about this movie so much. But it's just, I guess this movie's just like the gift that keeps on giving because I can't shut my damn mouth. Rocky Voorhees says, does Michael even know this is Laurie? He had no motivation to go after her. I don't think Laurie was his target. Honestly, I think he just, by circumstance, ended up at the house. Having said that, though, I think once he saw Laurie, he definitely wanted to kill her because he still remembers what happened 40 years ago. Yeah, now we're she's like facing the closet. Thank you, KC Sport Nut 33. Great job in 2018, Lee. Happy New Year, and looking forward to seeing you on your channel grow in 2019, brother. Keep it up. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to 2019, guys. There's no stopping. I'm really enjoying this ride. I'm enjoying making content for you guys, and it's, you know, I was scared that after this will be my 4th year on YouTube, starting in January. And you know, thinking back, you know, when I started out, I never dared think that I would be doing this 4 years later and still loving it even more. Katie Sidebottom, how you doing? Thank you. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the ride, and really that's because of you guys. You know, I started a YouTube channel because I could have discussions about movies with like-minded people that love movies just as much as I do. So, Adeline's Universe says, I think he did know it was Laurie because she looked familiar to him. Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. This scene right here looks very similar to Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 when she's running through the forest. And then this is a nice touch too. She falls in the middle of all these like targets, and it's all dark and everything. I mean, it looks like a horror movie in and of its own. So this will be my 4th viewing of this movie. You rock, Tim. Tim, thanks for staying with me on this, man. Because I know that you had some issues with this movie, as did a lot of people. And I respect that. And I just wanted to give you guys my side of things and how I felt about this movie and why I liked certain things that others didn't like. And I hope that came across in this commentary. But I would never judge anybody for, you know, disliking this movie or disliking certain parts of this movie. I respect that. And I love, you know, like Cody, I love, you know, he made some valid points of why he didn't like certain parts of this movie. And I get that. Hell, I even had certain things about this movie that bothered me that I would have changed. But, you know, overall, meat and potatoes, this movie was my #1 movie of the year. It just gave so much, you know, and as a Halloween fan, I didn't expect that. I thought I would just get my little Halloween movie. I'd enjoy it, and I'd go to my corner, and then it wouldn't be it'd probably be in my top 5. I would have guessed that. But did I think that this movie would be my #1 movie of the year? Hell no, guys. I'm serious. I didn't think that. If you would have bet money that I would have, if you would have said, Lee, I'll bet you $10 that this movie will be your #1 of the year, I probably would have taken that bet. Serious. But, you know, going back to David Gordon Green and his conversation with John Carpenter, you know, John Carpenter, all these years, there was a reason why he didn't come back and didn't want to do another Halloween movie. He said, you know, all these, every time a filmmaker would come to him, he'd say thanks, but no thanks. Because they would present it in a way to where, hey, it's an anniversary coming up, so let's do it for that. David Gordon Green came to John Carpenter and he said, I want to make a kick-ass Halloween movie. I'm paraphrasing, but he said, I want to make a great movie. I know he said great movie. As soon as he said that, John Carpenter said, it was as simple as that. I'm in. You know, I don't care if it's the 40th anniversary. It could have been the freaking 32nd anniversary. I want to make a great movie. And it's, you know, it's funny that that's really what made Carpenter come back, you know, and get involved. And I think that's what they did. In my mind, they made a great movie. Victor Watson, yeah, Laurie had some Sarah Connor vibe there in this movie. Yeah, she certainly did. I mean, if this is Laurie's last movie, she definitely went out with a bang. Yeah, but I mean, this scene, it's still going on, and I know that like Lindsay from Mother Mayhem, she said she thought the final act was too short. I've been talking nonstop for the past 20 minutes about this final act, and it's still going on. Or maybe 15 minutes. I'll give her some credit there, but I thought it was plenty long, you know? But this scene right here is really awesome because he's about to, I'm going to show you guys too. Yeah, he just threw her off the balcony. Yeah, and there he is. He's looking over. It's the opposite of how it played out in the first movie, you know. Loomis looked over and saw Myers on the ground. So Allison comes in, and then he's going to turn around, and then she's going to be gone. Love that. Yeah, there it is. He turns around. Boom, she's gone. Genius. So here we are, guys. This is it. It's we're going to be wrapping it up here pretty soon. Another one of my favorite scenes in the movie right here is Karen's reaction. You know, she duped me. She fooled me. When I was watching this, I thought that Karen was going to have a breakdown, and I thought Laurie would come in and save the day. And no. Karen like turned it on just like that, like a switch. She said, "Gotcha." It's awesome. Great final act. Wow. Love the way this house is lit too in this this last scene. David Gordon Green is like stretching out the scene in this one, you know, building the tension. Meyer, you know, it's just looming. And I guess this kind of answers the question in this movie if Myers has like super strength. I mean, I know that those counters like that, they are bolted to the ground. And no mere mortal man is going to be able to lift those things off, and Myers does it. So there's definitely something there inside him. How much of something, we don't know, but yeah, it's like it harkens back to that mask and it being a trigger, you know. And I think that's what the mask does. It almost like lets another force come inside him. That didn't sound right. Come inside him. Thanks, Donald Newton. Do you remember my adult Jamie Lloyd 2018 like direct sequel to Halloween 4? Do you remember? No, I don't think I do. You know, that does bring up a good topic though. Oh wait, hold on. Here we go. I got to show you guys this. Okay. You know, she's like a shrinking violet. She's selling it. I'd like to thank the Academy. And then and as soon as Michael pops into frame, boom, gotcha. I mean, she shot him. This is the first time I noticed this too when I watched it the other night. She shot him like right in the cheek. And then Laurie comes out of the shadow like the first movie from behind. Great stuff. Great stuff. But yeah, he was talking about Jamie Lloyd and you know, would I have rather have had Daniel Harris in this movie instead of Judy Greer? I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I think it would have created problems though, because then people would have said, "Hey, you're disregarding 2 and on, but you're bringing in a character." So, and originally in the script, her name was Jamie. It wasn't Karen. That was changed after. So, I wonder if maybe they were thinking about actually bringing Danielle Harris in. So I think from a storytelling standpoint, it was a smart move to bring in somebody else. And I like Judy Greer. I think she did a good job. I do. But the thought of seeing Danielle Harris hold that gun and then, saying that gotcha line, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, that does sound pretty freaking awesome. Some neat Nirankari. I butchered the hell out of that. Regardless of them being related, it feels though they are still connected with each other due to Laurie surviving. Yeah, there's definitely a connection there. Yep, and then we're gonna see the place is going in flames, which is they like to do that a lot in slasher movies. It's visually it looks interesting. I know they shot a couple different alternate endings. One of them was Myers being outside and Laurie like stabbing him. I like this ending. Yeah, it's similar to Halloween 2. But I mean, there's a sense of finality to it. I'm like, the movie's pretty much over because of this, but there's still an opening for Myers to escape. They don't show Myers in flames, so I think it works. And I think one reason it really works is because of the music that's playing behind it. It's kind of a different version of the Halloween theme. It's emotional. There's like a sense of finality to it. Like we're closing up the movie. And some have said or speculated that Myers was in that truck. But there's no way he would have got out that fast. I'm calling it right now in the sequel. I don't think he's in that truck. Mark Worling, how do you think they're going to pick up where this one has left off? Your thoughts, Lee? Yeah, I mean, it's all speculation, but I don't I don't know. I mean, they really kind of wrote themselves into a corner by keeping all three of them alive. The last shot there, they show Allison with the knife, which is kind of harkening back to the first one because Laurie always dropped the knife. Dedicated to Mustafa Akkad. Love that. Nice touch. But credits are rolling now. Yeah, I mean, I guess where I would like them to go in the next one, definitely keep it in Haddonfield. I think we need to be done with Laurie Strode and somehow, but not killing her off like they did in Resurrection. I would like it if Allison is in the movie and Cameron. You definitely still want a lot of those characters from this movie in that one. But yeah, as far as like Jamie Lee Curtis, I don't really want her to be the focus of the next movie. I mean, she might come back and like save the day at the end of it, but yeah, I mean, it's tough. If they would have killed her in this movie, then I could have came up with all kinds of different scenarios. But it's tough. Like, what are you gonna do? And I wonder. I think they originally were gonna kill her, and then maybe Jamie Lee Curtis talked them into keeping her alive, because I know Jamie Lee Curtis was on this whole women empowerment thing, and that didn't get in the way of the movie to me. Overall, it's still a really good movie. I don't really weigh too heavily on, Mary Sue's, and as long as it fits with the flow of the story, then it doesn't bother me. If they're just making her, girl badass just for the sake of doing that, then it sticks out like a sore thumb. But they really set Laurie Strode up as a badass character in this, and so her living at the end made sense. This is something that she prepared for all this time. And I didn't want him to kill Allison, so I think maybe Karen probably would have been the most logical one to die, but Karen's the one that kind of saves the day. She's the one that freaking kicks ass at the end. So there's a lot of different theories. I wish I had a better answer for you. I'd have to have some time to think about it, to lay out like an outline, like a game plan of the direction I'd like them to go. But definitely keep it in Haddonfield for sure. Definitely keep James Jude Courtney. Keep that mask. James Jude Courtney is a pivotal part of why this movie is so good. So you definitely got to keep him in there. Wow, guys, this was a badass commentary. I had such a good time with you guys. Ryan 7811, Lee, are you getting the Nika 2018 Myers? I actually ordered it, and I kind of forgot about it, but I think it's supposed to be shipped pretty soon. If you guys have an update on that, let me know. But yeah, I don't know what happened with that. I think maybe they made only so many of them. But so I guess let me know in the comments. Have you guys watched this movie more than once, twice, 3 times? Have any of you come around to it? I'd like to know that. Or do some of you, like, you've watched it a few times and you still feel the same about it? I'm kind of curious about you guys. Like, did it stay with you, or have you kind of moved on from it? And I don't know. I mean, are you wanting a sequel? I got a lot of questions for you guys. I'm turning it over to you now. See what you think. I'm totally up. 4 times, Brittany. Nice. I'm totally up for a little bit of question and answer here if you guys want to do that. I know I've been talking nonstop, but this was fun. Yeah, Chad Anderson, thank you, man. This was a blast. Saw my second viewing Friday. Still love it. Tim, awesome. Yeah, guys, I'm being honest. When I saw it the 3rd time, I was a little scared. I was like, I'm going to throw it, because, there's been a lot of negativity towards this movie. I guess it all comes in waves. Like when it first came out, everybody was on this high and everybody loved it. And then all of a sudden this hate train started coming. And by then I had already saw it twice and I still loved it. And I was scared that I would be influenced by the hate train. I hate to call it hate train, but I'm just saying there's a lot of people that were, they had major problems. And I was scared that those problems would really stick out to me this 3rd time, and it ended up going the other way for me. But I did want to point out a few problems I had with it along the way in this, and I did that for you guys. Yeah, it's not a perfect movie, but as far as like a Halloween sequel, and this is the 11th movie in the franchise, they knocked it out of the park. That's what I got. And you know what? The numbers don't lie. I mean, this movie was number 1 2 weeks in a row. Grossed. Yeah, I mean, I'll pull it up on the numbers right now. Holly watched it 4 times. Enjoy it more. Yeah, I enjoy it more every time I watch it, if that's even possible. Let me see. There's a site I go to called thenumbers.com. If you ever want to find out, I'm sure there's a few other sites you can go to, but if you want to find out the actual box office, here we go. Halloween 2018. Yeah, I'm looking at all the Halloween movies right now. Halloween 2018 has grossed $159 million, making it by far the highest grossing Halloween movie to date. Second place is Rob Zombie's Halloween with $58 million, and third place is The First with $47 million. Now, this is not adjusted for inflation. Adjusted for inflation, I'm thinking the first one might beat it, but I mean, guys, $159 million this movie made. Pretty damn impressive. I'm curious how much it made domestically, actually. Let me see, 2017. Because I didn't know Halloween made that much. Almost $160 million. It 2017 box office. See, now they're not showing domestic. It made 700 worldwide. So I don't know how much. Let me see if I can find out how much Halloween made worldwide. I know it's not close to that. So yeah, worldwide box office 253 million, which is pretty damn great for the 11th movie in a franchise. So I mean, I think that speaks volumes. I know box office doesn't 100% equal a great movie, but a lot of people went to this thing. A lot of people loved it. They did a great job in the marketing for it, and You know, I mean, they had solid trailers. They really built an anticipation for this movie, and then in the end, they delivered. For the most part, they delivered a great movie, according to everybody. You know, there are people that had problems with it, but I mean, it's a respectable sequel, and it's probably the second best out of the whole franchise. Man of Steel Grant, what's up, man? He says the biggest question I have is, what do you think would be a proper good title for the sequel? Well, it's funny you should ask that, because I think Halloween Returns might be a good title for the sequel, actually, because they didn't use it for this. Now, I know that the original, the movie that was going to happen, directed by Marcus Dunstan, was going to be called Halloween Returns. But use that title. You know, call it Halloween Returns if you want. Because you don't want to call it Halloween 2 or Halloween 3. You know, I think from this point on, we shouldn't be using numbers. So yeah, I think Halloween Returns is like the most logical step. So it did 327 million domestic. It was a freaking juggernaut. I mean, this was a movie that, you know, it came out 27 years after the first It TV series. So it was a different beast, you know, and the trailer was amazing for it. You know, you had non-horror fans and horror fans alike flocking to this thing. You know, it was almost like a cultural phenomenon. It was a Stephen King movie. Yeah, there was a lot of factors that made it, and it's a good movie. It is. I don't want to see another Halloween for at least 2 years. Yeah, I agree with that, Nathan. Don't make the same mistake that you made with Halloween 5. You know, come out a year later, and they're not doing that. You know, I think the earliest we'll see another one is 2020. But I know that they've started writing the script for the sequel, so I'm curious. I'll definitely be doing updates along the way. I think a good title would be something unique and didn't even have the Halloween in the title. Kind of like The Dark Knight, I guess. How The Dark Knight didn't have Batman in the title. Now, we actually talked about this on Scream Stream, but I think what would be kind of a cool idea is to go back and do what they were going to do with Halloween 3, the anthology thing, and maybe create like a Haddonfield shared universe. Just a small little shared universe. And you could still have your Michael Myers movies, but in Haddonfield or neighboring towns, they could have all these other, you know, maybe not even in Haddonfield. Maybe they could make it like a neighboring town and call it that, but they'd have all these other mysterious things going on, and maybe even tie it into what makes Myers evil. You know, maybe that evilness of Myers isn't just affecting Myers. Maybe it's affecting other towns and stuff like that, and in different ways, not just like a slasher way. I think that could be fun. Shape Returns, that'd be cool. Yeah. The Shape. Ooh, Senpai Simba. I think that's it, man. Call it The Shape. That would be fucking amazing. Yeah. I think just call it The Shape, because you haven't used that title yet, and I think that would be badass. Most anticipated movie for 2019. I'm looking forward to The Joker. That's a tough one. Let me see. Let me look up in here and see what's. Hold on. Let me see what's coming out in 2019. Pet Sematary looks interesting. 2019 movies. Definitely Avengers. I'm kind of curious about Spider-Man Far From Home, because I will say, guys, I watched Homecoming for a third time. Speaking of third watches, Homecoming gets worse every time I watch it. And I just watched Spider-Man 2, and I love Spider-Man 2. It's like one of the greatest superhero movies ever. And I watched Homecoming like the next night, and I have so many problems with that movie, with Peter's friends. I can't stand any of his friends. Peter never once like swings through the big skyscrapers in New York. He's running on rooftops and backyards. It's way too, you know, it's like forced coolness. Like, ooh, look at me, I'm like really cool, right? You know, but none of the dialogue's really funny. I don't know. I know some of you guys like Homecoming. I freaking hated it. It's my least favorite Spider-Man movie, but Spider-Verse is great. Michael Keaton was probably the only good thing, and Tom Holland. Tom Holland was a decent Spider-Man. I still think Andrew Garfield was a good Spider-Man. He just wasn't in great movies. But I much prefer the Amazing Spider-Man movies over Homecoming. All day, every day. That might be controversial, but hey, it's my opinion. Beth S says, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Pet Cemetery. It Chapter 2. Yeah, that's probably my number one then. The new Chucky. That's high up on the list. I'm really curious to see what they do with that Chucky remake. Yeah. Child's Play and Toy Story 4 come out on the same day. Yes, they do. And I think that's awesome. And wouldn't it be even more awesome if Child's Play beat Toy Story 4? Which I know that's probably not going to happen because it's going to be rated R. If they make it PG-13, I think that would be stupid. But I love that they're both coming out on the same day. And I know Don Mancini's kind of, he's really butthurt about this whole thing. But you know what? Like Cody said, he's had freaking 30 years. And they kept the ball in his court out of respect. So after 30 years, you know what? They have every right to go ahead and make a reboot. So yeah. Let's see. Donald Newton. Hey Lee, do you like Bond? What do you think should be the next? What's funny is my dad was a big Bond fan, but I was never really into James Bond that much. I don't know what it is. And maybe it's just because I'm not really into spy movies that much. Like, it's hard for me to find a really, really good spy movie. And they're well-made films, but I don't know. It's just hard for me to, get on board with them. Heartbreaker says, whenever the original Amazing Spider-Man movies came out, I thought they were better than the Sam Raimi trilogy because I was stupid and I liked how Spider-Man actually made his web shooters. There's elements of the Raimi trilogy that aren't that great. Like the first movie, I think, isn't nearly as effective as the second movie. Spider-Man 3, I think, is given a little bit too hard of a bad rap. I think they wasted what they did with Venom. But overall, I still have a good time with it. I love the sequences where he has the black costume on and he's swinging through the city and all that stuff, and he's kind of an asshole. I like that whole part. I think the black costume portion of the movie is probably my favorite part. John Kyle Stanton, Lee, do you think Stallone is now done with Rocky? Yeah, I think he's 100% done. If you've seen Creed 2 and how it ended with him, doing the fist bump at the end and kind of fading out, and you see the ring kind of blurred out, and he's just kind of walking away. Yeah, I think he's done, and I think it's because he wants to spend more time with his family. He's older. He's about to come out with a new Rambo, actually, which I'm really curious. I love Rambo. I've been meaning to review the first 3 Rambo movies because I've done the 4th one my first year in my channel. But I'll probably do a revisited for the 4th one because I love that movie so much. But definitely looking forward to reviewing the Rambos. Yeah, Sandman was a pretty decent villain. You don't hear people talking about Sandman that much, but I like Sandman. He was pretty cool, actually. I will say this: I think 3 is 10 times better than Homecoming. And Rotten Tomatoes, I think Homecoming's sitting at I don't know, I'm just guessing, but it's pretty high up there, 90% or something like that. Fuck no, that movie's not 90%. That's crazy. The Film Addict, do you think it will be cool if Thomas Jane played Batman? I think Thomas Jane is an underrated actor. Yeah, he's an underrated actor. I don't really see him as Batman, though. I would like Carl Urban. I think Carl Urban is a missed opportunity. He would be a great Batman, I think. Yeah, Rambo 2 is badass. I remember Rambo 2 back in the 80s. I had HBO, and for they showed a special showing of Rambo 2, I think for July 4th or something like that. And it was the only time, because it didn't air on HBO until a couple months later, but for July 4th they showed it. And that image of because I remember seeing the first Rambo, First Blood, and always wanting a sequel, because I think it was 3 years later we got the sequel. And the first image I saw of Rambo 2 is when he's running from that mountain, I guess, and then there's this like explosion behind him, and Stallone's like completely ripped. Like, he was pretty big in the first one, but he was like freaking ripped in the next two movies. Stallone was my idol growing up. I was like a teenager in the 80s, and Stallone was just like, I wanted to be like that guy, Oh, Nathan Oswald, what do you think of Stallone's Cobra? Man, Cobra's like, I have it on VHS actually. Cobra's like one of my favorite 80s movies. It's cheesy, it's fun, but man, I have so much fun with that movie. I really do. I think the Night Slashers, that's a really good villain too. And if you really get right down to it, Cobra is it's like a slasher movie. It's like the only slasher movie that Stallone is in. I think ICU might be a little bit of a slasher movie. I haven't seen ICU in ages, but Cobra, man, I love that freaking movie. They were gonna do a sequel to it too, actually, but they never did. But yeah, that's another one I wanted to do like a VHS review of. Benzo Brain, have you seen a Serbian film? No, I don't plan on it. I've heard what's in that movie, and I have no desire to see that whatsoever. Even if I had like a Patreon request to do it, I would respectfully decline. I'm sorry, there's just certain limits I have as a reviewer, and I just have no desire to even like dissect movies that involve children. I guess like raping of children. I can't do it. Sorry. Ryan7811, Lee, are you a Godzilla fan? There's a new one coming out in 2018. Yeah, hell yeah. I liked the last Godzilla actually. I know some people that they're like they didn't show Godzilla enough, but I don't think you want to show Godzilla too much. I think they showed him just the right amount, because otherwise it kind of waters down the movie. I had some problems with it. I think Bryan Cranston should have, lived through the end, but still, yeah, I grew up loving big creature type movies. One of my first memories of ever seeing a movie was King Kong from '76 with Jessica Lange, Jeff Bridges. And that movie has a special place in my heart because I was this little kid, and it was like King Kong was like larger than life to me, I guess literally. But so I've always liked creature features, really good creature features. And there's King Kong people, and then there's Godzilla people. I've always been a King Kong person, but I'll still definitely watch a good Godzilla movie, and I'm looking forward to the next one. I'm a little skittish. It looks like there might not be that much substance there, but I could be wrong. We'll see what happens. Peter Jackson's King Kong was decent. There was, I did from like, as far as like the feels and getting your heart going. Yeah, I remember my daughter cried when we watched that movie. We were walking out of the theater, and my daughter just like broke down crying. They handled that scene on the Empire State Building at the end like perfectly. It was brutal. Adeline's Universally, I have a question. What is the scariest moment in all of the Halloween movies for you? Big fan, by the way. I wish I would have been 15 years old when I saw this new movie, because I think that bathroom scene might have answered that question. But the ending of Halloween 4 probably holds that title. My reaction to Halloween 4, having nightmares for, months after, pretty much cemented that ending pretty much as the scariest moment in the franchise. Favorite Scream movie? Mine is the original. Yeah, the original is definitely the best. I like 4 the second best, then 2, then 3. Have Lee play the Terminator slasher. Yeah, why not? Let's see. Comic Chop News. Lee, are you looking forward to Glass? Hell yeah, I'm really looking forward to Glass. It's one of those things though, like you go to because I go to the movies a lot, and when you see the trailer over and over and over and over again, it kind of dilutes it a little bit for you. But yeah, I'm still really looking forward to it. I was a huge fan of Unbreakable and Split, and I remember seeing Split in the theater, and when that music started coming on at the end from Unbreakable, and then they show Bruce Willis sitting in the diner. I remember me and my son were like, we like verbally like shouted in the theater like, "Holy shit! This is an Unbreakable sequel," and people started looking at us because not everybody got the joke. or not joke, but not everybody got it, you know. So a lot of people left like, what was that ending? But me and my son, we knew. We were like, yeah, that's unbreakable. Hell yeah. So yeah, that was badass. Bird Box was good though. I'm actually gonna be recording a review for Bird Box tomorrow, Funkmaster. So yeah, I watched Bird Box for a second time today. That's a really good movie actually. Got a couple little issues with it, but yeah, I'm looking forward to going into that for my. I guess it'll be my first recorded review for 2019. But I dropped my last review of 2018 today with Phenomena, which was a very fitting title. For, you know, I loved that movie. It was really good actually. So I'm a big Argento fan, and I still haven't seen all of his works, but everything he's put out I've loved so far. Nathan Oswald, Haley, to an extent, is Terminator 1 a slasher? Yeah, Terminator 1 is absolutely a slasher. It's like, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Is Terminator a slasher? Hell yeah, it is. I mean, it's the very definition of what a slasher movie is. You know, a single killer picking off victims one by one or in pursuit of a target, and that's what it is. Yeah, so I definitely, I like to refer to Terminator as a slasher. Yeah, I don't think Holly. I don't think I'm gonna make it to midnight. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, Happy New Year's to everybody. It's been a great year, and definitely want to thank all you guys for getting my channel where it is. And I mean, I'll be the first to admit I worked my ass off this year, but I enjoyed every bit of it, and I'm enjoying the ride, and I'm looking forward to putting out more content for you guys next year, and sky's the limit, guys. But I mean, this year, I mean, I started out, I had like a year ago I had 8,000 subscribers, and now I have 23,000. So I mean, that can tell you what kind of a year it's been for me, and I'm shocked by it. I really am. I thought if I get another 8,000 this year, then I'll be really lucky. But yeah, it's been an awesome ride. I've made a lot of new friends, and yeah, not to get all sentimental on you or anything, but yeah, it's been an amazing year. As Nathan Oswald said, my voice is going out. But Lee, do you ever wonder who is wearing the Ghostface suit in the original between Billy and Stu in certain scenes? I mean, I think you can kind of break that down sometimes if you go scene by scene and by the process of elimination. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But I kind of like the mystery too of not knowing sometimes. I guess that's the good thing about having two killers. You know who the killer is, but you still don't know who is in the Ghostface mask from scene to scene. So, Fill These Nips was definitely for Halloween, and I said this at the beginning of the stream. I kind of wanted to end this year with something to do with Halloween 2018, because this movie, I mean, this was a big part of the growth of my channel this year, with the updates, and then the movie coming out, and then the reviews, and then Hallow Stream. And I gotta thank Dave McCray. We watched the movie, Cody Leach. Yeah, I mean, those guys, I asked them, I was like, hey, would you guys want to get together and talk about Halloween? And they were like, yeah, hell yeah, you tell me when and where, and we'll be there. That's the kind of friends that I have on here, and that was a big part of why I guess my channel got to where it is. So yeah, Halloween 2018 really was just a major part of this year for me, and so it kind of makes me wonder what's, I'll be doing updates for the new Halloween movie if we get any in 2019, but I'm looking forward to other stuff too. I'm looking forward to reviewing more movies, older movies, newer movies. I like doing deep cuts. I got quite a few Argento movies that I could still review. A lot of my Patreon requests are like awesome flicks that I've never even heard of. So yeah, it's been a wild ride. But anyway, guys, I think that's going to close it up here. Again, thank you all for stopping by. I had a blast talking about this movie with you guys. And look forward to more streams, more Scream streams in the future. We're gonna do a Hollow Stream 4, throwing around some ideas for that. Maybe we all talk about something outside of Myers. I know we do that on Scream stream, but I figured we could, for Hollow Stream 4, we could maybe talk about how Myers has influenced other slashers. That could be a fun conversation. So, yeah, I mean, let me know what you guys think about that in the comments, you know. And I'm always looking for ideas for Scream streams. You know, topics. I like branching out and talking about different topics. So, yeah. But Benzo Brain, yeah, peace out, man. It's been great hanging with you guys, and I'm gonna end it here. Happy New Year, everyone. Have a great night, and stay safe. Trick or treat, motherfucker.